Let's see, screenshot. Yeah, of course, of course. So you're looking for my general account progression, like in the sense of how to build your Legion and your links mainly?
Yeah, I mean, like you can only get 12, right? And then so I already got
Mm-hmm.
around 12, so I don't really want to do more work than I have to.
Yeah, yeah. So the thing with access to links and Legion and all of that is the main thing is that the more you access, the more you can optimize for this, whatever situation you're in. So there's a few that are just exclusively good for training, a few that are exclusively good for bossing, and then there's a bunch that are like in between. And then the more you have access to, the more you can min max if you're doing mobbing or bossing. It's kind of the idea behind it.
All right.
So let's say, for example, like the Mercedes one, right? That gives you extra experience. Like you don't ever want to really be using that during bossing because it could go at the expense of something else that can actually give you boss damage, for example. And that's why you can switch around between them up to twice a day, and that's why you have why there's so many of them, but only 12 that you can select. So if you look at the stream right now, I don't know if you've seen this command of
Yeah,
mine.
I got your Legion link skill.
Yeah.
Google Doc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like the general order because of just it's not just because of how much stronger or better it makes your one character, your main character, but also the value that it has to empower the leveling speed of all the other characters in your account, which then in turn will make your main stronger. So it could feel a little bit like a detour in the beginning, but eventually it'll make you get to like the end point. The goal of this grid is basically like how do you get to like a 6k Legion, where you have access to most of the characters, you have access to the full Legion grid, and you can kind of like min-max with your link skills in the different scenarios in the game. It's kind of like the how-to from this.
Okay. Who do you think I should go for next?
Yeah, so let me double check which ones you already have. Scored. So you have Mercedes, Aaron, Evan, and then DADS, Arc, Ilium, Kana. Were you were like doubting between any, or do you just have like no idea?
I mean,
Yes,
yeah, I just have no idea.
and
I
you're
mean, I
maining.
have, yeah. Because I think I can, I wanted to like max out my link skills before I start my main.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, so there's an upside and a downside to that. If you start leveling your character when you already have all of your links, then you're basically starting kind of at your peak, right? And then
uh-huh.
all of the extra damage just comes from your character itself. If you start sooner, you're gonna feel growth both in how much your character grows and how much your Legion and your link skills and everything grow after that as well. So the total feeling of growth that you're gonna have is gonna be greater in the second scenario.
I mean, the end result should be the same, right?
The end result will be the same. But let's
Yeah.
say that I give you $10 a day, and then after like a week, I cut that down to $5. And let's say in the other situation, I give you $0 a day, and then in the end, I give you $5. In which situation are you going to be happier with the $5? You think
I
it's going
mean,
to be the same?
whatever the total one is higher.
Whichever the total one is higher. Yeah, but
Yeah.
what is going to be the feeling towards the $5? Is the first person or the second person going to feel like the $5 is worth more?
Yeah, it's the second person.
Yeah. So it's not like perfectly analogous, but your perception will change based on like how far you've gone. This is why I also kind of try to promote more stutter growth, where you kind of like save up large amounts and then go for really big upgrades, rather than always go for small upgrades. Not because it's it's slightly financially more expedient, right? Because you make sure that those big upgrades are always during a sale, but also because it'll just feel like more, even though it's the same at the end. Like you can get the same strength, like just like you will get the same Legion and the same link skills, but it'll just feel better.
I see. Okay. All right, last thing. So for this terror burning thing
Yeah.
coming up right
Mm-hmm.
now, like I saw like I watched your videos like you
Mm-hmm.
should burn all the people who are harder to level,
Yeah.
but I already have most of the people that you have on there,
Yeah.
except there's only at 120. So should I just use terror burning to choose like a main or just a different link skill?
Yeah, you might. I think you have like a broad solid base now for link skills and Legion. What I would do is like try to push those 120s you have from 120 to 140, like one at a time. Or, you know, like on a daily basis, you could just do Zakum, for example, while it still gives a decent chunk of experience, maybe a little bit of Monster Park, to like squeeze them in from 120 to 140, because then they'll go from... because then you can see that in the bottom here as well. Their piece in the Legion will go from 2 blocks to 3 if you get to 140.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's only those 20 extra levels, which is still very fast and very easy, but you'll get 50% more coverage, right? Because you'll go from 2 to 3. It seems like it's only +1, but it's 50% more coverage, because it's still going to be tricky to add more characters into your Legion. So it's better to try to kind of like min-max within the characters you can already put in your Legion, which in your case would be going from 120 to 140.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you might be at the point now where like choosing a main and terror burning that would actually be a good idea, because then you'd be able to commit harder to it, especially to make sure that you get your permanent CRA gear while the temporary CRA gear is still in on your character, and you won't be like as sidetracked by getting like slowed down because you still have to work on a lot of Legion, because you already have that basis in Legion. That'll definitely help you out. Yeah.
Because it seems like now after 200 to 250 is gonna take like way longer than 1 to 200.
Yeah, so they're removing reducing the experience from 170 to 200, and then it is also going to be those special potions and the Rise event and everything to give you more experience, and then the extra nodes, and there will also be an extra Burninator coupon in there, so you can already pick another character for your links that you weren't very fond of, or that you were kind of looking not looking forward to, and then Mega Burn that one. Have you given a thought to what you wanted to main?
I don't know. Like, it seemed when I always search like what's the best, because I'm like, I guess I don't know what funded means, but like semi-funded. So then like I looked up all the best unfunded, and it was Pathfinder and AB, and then so I assumed that with funding, a little more funding, those classes might be better. But anyway, I feel like Pathfinder will be nerfed soon though. But I was looking at Beast Tamer though.
Yeah, Pathfinder has been getting like small nerfs, but they're still solid. Beast Tamer will be interesting to see how the playstyle is going to change. Beast Tamer is very hit or miss, kind of like they can be very good mobbers, and they have okay burst and then decent support, but their damage like outside of burst is almost like non-existent. It's like very... They're like a good example of being like very good at some things and then being like horrible at other things, which I kind of like. I think I like that in games when your class like has a specific role, and then you do that thing really well, and then you do other things just like really horribly. Not like Kana, where you're just like great at everything. I hate that because then that just becomes the brain dead pick, and then the meta is set, and then people almost feel bad for not playing the character, right? Which I would want to avoid that as much as possible. So what was it, Beast Tamer, and what were the other ones? Pathfinder and...
Oh, those are what I was thinking about doing next, because I really wanted the Beast Tamer link skill, but then it was like unavailable, and now it's available.
Yeah.
Then I have all the other ones now.
Okay. And have you already looked at Adele and see what she does?
Yeah, I don't know. That's one of them I was considering, but then you have to wait until the 24th.
Yeah. Oh, 24th is already like a long wait for you.
Yeah. I mean, in the time span of that, I could get like multiple characters up to 120, 200.
Yeah, you could.
I did the past ones in like a week.
True.
All this is like the 2 weeks.
Okay.
I've been on a grind.
I can tell, and it goes progressively faster as you finish more of them, right? You switch your links, you start building your Legion board and everything. But it's already pretty good as well that you start building Legion coins, so you can start using those for level up potions and buffs and everything.
Wait, when I do my Legion, should I be doing it on my Angel Buster, the most highest leveled one? Because I tried doing it on like a level 100 one, and then I was trying to do the daily quest where you kill the wyverns, but the wyverns weren't dying after like 5 minutes.
Yeah. They're like, I think they have a certain minimum level. I think you have to do the daily quest on your highest level character. Yeah, I think they're like around level 200 or something.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. They used to be just near your level, but they scaled them up at some point, like a year ago or something, and people were suddenly like incapable of killing them. Yeah, they kind of gated that, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna follow the reboot class guide.
Mm-hmm.
Go by leveling speed. That's what I've.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to keep this up to date. There might be some sometimes classes kind of completely change. Like with Jet change, I didn't think it was going to do much, but like upon some further research, it ends up that they actually went from like one of the slowest to like almost one of the faster ones. So yeah, sometimes some reworks can actually completely shift them in the general rankings.
Okay. Alrighty, man. Good talk, dude.
Yeah, you feel like you you got enough out of this?
Oh yeah, man. I just wanted. I was thought we were gonna just text, dude.
Oh yeah.
I
No,
didn't
no,
really.
yeah. I like to do a voice because it's like way faster. You can get way more information. Way more information back and forth.
Do you have any recommendations about who's fun to main? Just you personally, I guess.
Yeah, so what I mean. So that's why I have like these categories. Do you have any kind of preference when it comes to like mobility, bossing, mobbing, utility, survivability, key input, leveling speed?
Well,
Like which of
right
these
now
things do
because
you?
I've been only just doing quick levels to 120. I
Mm-hmm.
guess I prioritize mobbing, but
Mm-hmm.
then it seems like after you, if you made a character, you do 250, 200 plus. That's more bossing is more the case. Or bossing is more important.
Yeah, some people just don't like bossing at all. Maybe because they're not like technically inclined for it. Maybe they don't have like great ping. Maybe they just don't enjoy. Maybe it's too chaotic, and they just want to, they want to focus more on like mobbing and survive and like utility. And then they can just, they can just keep leveling and keep grinding it out like by their lonesome, and that's just like how they enjoy the game. Some people want to have like the best of the best bosser and want to be like the main carry. I want to be like the big dick PP and like do all the damage. Usually that goes at the expense of some other things. And then like there's also always like a kind of like a middle ground there where if your leveling speed is too low, it can take you very long to get to the point where you can do those bosses. Especially because in Reboot you have the level damage penalty, right? You know about that? Like the
I don't know.
level
I just
difference.
Vera.
Yeah.
I haven't
So
played.
yeah. Compared to non-reboot, there's a way higher final damage penalty if you're lower level than the monster you're attacking in reboot.
I see. I
It's
see.
way more punishing. So for bosses, you have to be a certain level before you can even go in there. It's not like in non-reboot where you're just like, oh, I'll just upgrade my gear a little bit more and just brute force it. You can't do that in reboot. If you're just like 10 levels below something, you deal almost none of your damage anymore. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. So you have to get those levels. So is there any like so you've played on non-reboot, right?
Yeah, only non-reboot.
Oh yeah.
I'm in Vera.
So are there any like pieces of content in the game that you think you definitely want to reach,
Uh,
or that are
I mean,
realistic for you?
I can get to 1 to 200 easily enough. Just
Mm-hmm.
because I played before when 200 was the cap,
Mm-hmm.
and then now it's like with 275.
Now it's the fucking tutorial.
Yeah. I don't know. At least a little bit past 200. One of
Mm-hmm.
my buddies is like 210 or 220.
Mm-hmm. Should be looking at like being
So I
able to
guess
duo CRA or something.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that should definitely be doable. I think with almost any character you play, especially if you're going to Terra burn it, you get all those nodes. You can work on your boost
Oh
nodes
yeah,
more
'cause you
easily.
don't have to really worry about gear to a
Yep.
certain extent.
Yeah, well, there's like combinations of gear that you can do that are pretty viable. Basically, you just keep hunting for decent flames on your gear, either between Von Leon, Necro gear, or maybe Penciler gear. If you get something with a good flame on it. Yeah, you basically just get a lot of boss accessory now because Gollux is pushed way back in the progression. But yeah, you have to earn everything yourself, so you can't really rely on tradability. So there's
I
a
mean,
lot
I've
of.
I've been just when I did my AB, I just bought some Gollux gear from auction house.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, let's see.
Yeah, well, sadly we can't do that over here.
Oh, you're playing in Reboot only, huh?
Yeah, reboot only. Yeah, I have
see.
like a old account in non-reboot, but I'm using that just to offload my Mezzo to get Maple points. But I don't really play there. I haven't played there since 2012. Yeah.
So does that, if you're only on Reboot, does that change anything with your guide in terms of leveling speed? Or, like,
Um.
should be the same, right?
The thing is, I don't know. Okay, so I guess I should have
Uh,
double checked. So you're completely in non-reboot now, huh?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm a Bera.
I guess it should have been the very first question. Interesting.
Uh,
Um, the real answer is I don't know how much it affects it. I would imagine
I mean,
it's not.
progr-
Yeah.
yeah.
I would.
Progression-wise, like EXP, that should be the same. Like doing those 3 first.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like with the with the leveling guide, I know like a lot of the stuff is similar. You will want to like prioritize Star Force areas over non-Star Force because you can get stronger and because you can go to high level areas faster. So typically you'd
Yeah.
move on to the higher level areas a little bit faster than what my leveling guide says. The thing with leveling speed, what it does include though, is that you would have to rely a little bit more on upgrading gear than we would in Reboot because we get 1% damage for every 2 levels. So we just scale in damage quite a bit just from leveling, and you would have to counteract that with potentials and with stronger gear. But because you can do something like just buy CRA gear, where we would have to be like, yeah, you'd have
Each
to.
one I had was like 2 lines, the percent stat.
Yeah, exactly. Like we have to probably like if you're new, your first character, you'd be going to like level 220 or something before you can like duo CRA. Like it'll be way further down. And but specifically like which gear you go for, that'll be very different because we just only have access to the bosses we can directly kill and directly loot from. So that part is very different. But in general, like which links you go for and what stuff. The only thing I know is that so because in non-reboot you have way less percentage damage, things that give you percentage damage and percentage boss damage are seen as more valuable there because you have diminishing returns. Otherwise, we would have like diminishing returns kicking in, but you don't really have that as much because you don't stack as much percentage damage passively already in non-reboot.
Cool.
But I think those are already generally, percentage damage is already like very high up here. So.
Like at this point in my account progression, there's no point in like leveling a Xenon or something to 120 for like a 10% stat. I should might as well just start a main.
Yeah, eventually you'll get that, right? Maybe you'll throw that in with a Mega Burn, something like that. But eventually you'll get one. But it's not like you need one to be able to possibly play your character. It's not anything like that.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, I think I just gotta choose one. Anyway, it seems like it's more balanced now. In terms of what characters you can choose the main.
Yeah, balanced. It's balanced as in that like all of the characters are like decent at a lot of different things, which you could say that that's balanced, but I actually don't like that. I like characters that are more specifically like really good at one thing and then very shit at something else. I would prefer that more because then you're making like a specific decision that you're going for a certain role. If you're kind of playing a character that's like decent at everything, it kind of I mean, there should be like one of those characters as well, but I feel like right now there are too many characters that are kind of like good at everything.
But in terms of like leveling at a later stage in the game, is it better to specialize in one thing or just be good at more things?
Well, when you say later stages, you're talking like level 220 or like level 260?
I guess 220, I guess.
Yeah.
20 plus.
Yeah, I guess at that point it's still mainly going to be a matter of getting your arcane power, so you're going to be like kind of gated by dailies. And then to which extent you level up your boost nodes, that's where you're going to get a lot of your damage. And then so your map coverage for certain skills for certain classes is going to differ between separate classes quite a bit. So like some classes will just have to go to completely different maps than other characters. The good thing there, though, is that Reverse City is coming out soon, and then hopefully Yum Yum Island not too long after that, hopefully in the update for July 22nd. So that should create a bunch more maps that could be viable for you to train on. But yeah, it's going to be like a little bit of a different era for you. You're going to be like part of a new generation that has to deal with the wild totems instead of the fury totems.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if you did everything up till now. Did you do it like without totems or?
The grinding, I didn't even know about totems, honestly.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Oh, I see. But yeah. Okay, so you know all about those.
I just did like 2 times XP and enjoyable winter to level.
I see. Yeah. Stacking that is already pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. And then with Mercedes on Evan, it was like 4 or 5 hours per character.
Oh yeah, that's pretty fast. Yeah, you got a solid foundation. I think if you pick whatever main you pick, I think you're gonna find it quite enjoyable already. And then as your Legion grows with you and your Link skills grow with you, and you get into the new area and everything, I think you'll.
Yeah, this new event. So
Yep.
pretty much find a new main, get some of those 120s to 140s,
Yep.
and choose the Legion ones that do well with the main, and then go from there.
Yeah, if those are all you have, like the ones that give you critical damage, for example, those will increase your damage a lot. But you won't really see that in your range, but you will see that in your damage output as long as your critical rate is at 100%. So yeah, critical rate and critical damage are like important ones, and those will also help you improve your damage on new characters by a lot. So
then is Beast Tamer like worth putting in over like a ignore defense for its crit rate then?
Yeah, so ignore defense is really only does something when you're bossing. So normal monsters have close to no defense. Even the highest level monsters have pretty much ignorable defense. So boss damage and IED is really only going to do something when you're bossing. Yeah, and then otherwise you can just
mobbing.
Yeah, for mobbing, you want to focus on getting your those 3 for EXP, getting your critical rate up to 100%, and then stacking critical damage. Those are the most important.
Okay. All right, cool, dude.
Yep. Yeah, no problem,
Thanks for
dude.
the info.
Yeah, thanks for the chat. Thanks for coming on.
All right, I'll see you more of you later.
Yep.
All right,
See
on
ya.
stream.
Yep. See you in chat.